There is a lesson about money that most people learn far too late. Not everybody needs to know how you make your money. You don't owe everybody an explanation of your income. You don't need to announce every opportunity that comes your way. You don't need to explain every business decision, every investment, every client, every side hustle, or every financial move you're making. And this isn't about being secretive. It's about being wise. There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Secrecy is hiding something because you're afraid it will be discovered. Privacy is understanding that some things become more valuable when you stop displaying them to everybody. Think about it. When you plant a seed, do you dig it up every morning to show people how much it has grown? No. You put it in the ground. You water it, you protect it, and you give it time. Money works much the same way. Some financial opportunities need time, concentration, patience, and protection. And one of the easiest ways to destroy a good opportunity is to start talking about it before it has had a chance to become something. Now, I'm not telling you to become antisocial. I'm not telling you to distrust everybody. I'm telling you to become selective about information, because information has value. If everyone knows what you're doing, everyone has an opinion. And once everybody has an opinion, you may find yourself spending more time defending your decisions than actually making progress. That's a terrible trade. You don't want to spend your life explaining your vision to people who aren't helping you build it. Some people will hear that you're making money and immediately ask how. Then they want to know who you're working with. How much are you making? How did you get started? How much did you invest? What are you planning next? And sometimes the questions are innocent, but sometimes they aren't. Sometimes people don't want to understand your journey. They want to measure themselves against you. And that's where you have to become careful, because the moment you tell people how much money you're making, the conversation can change. Friends can start looking at you differently. Family members may begin expecting things from you. Acquaintances may suddenly have business proposals. People who never called you before may suddenly remember your telephone number, and you discover something interesting about human nature. People don't always react to your success. Sometimes they react to what they think your success can do for them. That's why financial maturity requires boundaries. You need to learn how to say, "I'm doing well, thank you," without giving a financial report. You need to learn how to say, "I'm working on a few things," without explaining the entire strategy. You need to learn how to say, "I'll let you know when the time is right," without feeling guilty, because you are not required to make your financial life public. Now, let's make something clear. I'm not talking about avoiding legitimate accountability. If you have business partners, investors, accountants, attorneys, lenders, or people who are legitimately involved in your financial affairs, appropriate transparency matters. If you're running a company, you have responsibilities. If you're handling somebody else's money, you have obligations. If you're married or sharing finances with someone, communication matters. Wisdom isn't hiding information from the people who legitimately need it. Wisdom is not broadcasting information to people who don't need it. There's a difference. And successful people understand that difference. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they begin earning more money is that they begin talking more about money. They get a little success and suddenly everybody knows the new car, the new house, the new watch, the vacation, the business, the investment, the income, the lifestyle. And before long, they're not building wealth anymore. They're performing wealth. That's dangerous, because looking rich and becoming wealthy are two completely different objectives. A person can have an expensive lifestyle and very little financial security. Another person can live quietly, own productive assets, invest consistently, avoid unnecessary debt, and be financially stronger than everybody assumes. Never confuse appearance with wealth. The person driving the expensive car may be financing it. The person wearing the expensive watch may owe money on 3 different credit cards. The person posting luxury vacations may be spending money they haven't earned yet. And the person nobody notices may be quietly building a financial foundation that changes their entire family for generations. You don't have to look wealthy to become wealthy. In fact, sometimes the smartest financial decision you can make is to look ordinary while you build extraordinary results. That's where discipline comes in. You see, money isn't primarily about income. Money is about what you do with income. 2 people can earn the same amount of money and end up in completely different places. One spends everything. The other saves, invests, learns, builds skills, controls expenses, and creates additional sources of income. The difference isn't always the paycheck. The difference is the philosophy. And if you want to become financially successful, you have to develop a philosophy that says, "I don't need to impress people with what I'm building. I need to actually build it. That's a powerful philosophy. Because when you stop trying to impress people, you regain enormous amounts of energy. You stop buying things to prove something. You stop making decisions because somebody else is watching. You stop chasing status. You stop comparing. And you start asking better questions. What produces value? What skill can I develop? What problem can I solve? What can I own? What can I invest? What can I improve? How can I make my money work more efficiently? How can I become more valuable in the marketplace? Those are better questions than, how can I make people think I'm successful? Success isn't a photograph. Success is a process, and the process requires privacy. Let's talk about another reason you should be careful about telling people how you make your money. People often criticize what they don't understand. Suppose you discover a legitimate business opportunity. Maybe it's something unusual. Maybe it's an online business. Maybe it's consulting. Maybe you're building software. Maybe you're investing. Maybe you're selling a specialized service. You tell somebody who doesn't understand the industry, they immediately say, that won't work. Now you've got a problem, not because they're necessarily right, not because they're necessarily wrong, but because you've allowed someone who doesn't understand your strategy to become a voice inside your decision-making process. And if you aren't careful, you can begin doubting yourself. That's why you need mentors. Not crowds. You need people who understand the game you're playing. You need people who have experience. You need people who can challenge your assumptions intelligently. You don't need 50 opinions from people who have never done what you're trying to do. Be careful who you ask for advice. If you want financial advice, ask somebody who understands finance. If you want business advice, ask somebody who understands business. If you want investment advice, learn from qualified professionals and reliable sources. Don't ask everybody, because everybody has an opinion. But not everybody has wisdom. And here's another lesson. Don't announce your financial goals too early. There's something psychologically satisfying about telling people what you're going to accomplish. You say, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to start a company. I'm going to buy this property. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to become an investor. And for a moment, you feel successful. But talking about the goal can sometimes give you a small emotional reward before you've done the work. You feel like you've accomplished something because people applauded the intention. And then the hard work begins, the early mornings, the rejection, the mistakes, the learning, the uncertainty, the discipline, the boring repetition. That's where most people disappear. So sometimes it's better to keep your mouth quiet and let your actions become the announcement. Don't tell everybody what you're going to do. Work, learn, improve, build, and then let the results introduce you. There's a beautiful strength in quiet progress. You don't have to announce every step. You don't have to post every milestone. You don't have to explain every sacrifice. There are seasons in life when the best thing you can do is become less visible and more productive. Get quiet, read, study, save, invest, build, practice, improve, and let the world notice later. Now here's something else you need to understand. When your income increases, your responsibility increases too. If you make more money but immediately increase every expense, you've only increased your lifestyle. You haven't necessarily increased your wealth. You have to understand the difference between earning and keeping. Making money is one skill. Managing money is another. Growing money is another. Protecting money is another. And using money wisely is another. A financially intelligent person doesn't simply ask, how much can I make? They ask, how much can I keep? How much can I invest? How much risk am I taking? What happens if my income stops? Do I have an emergency reserve? Am I carrying expensive debt? Am I investing based on research or emotion? Am I building assets or simply buying things? Those questions matter because wealth isn't created by income alone. Wealth is created by the relationship between income, spending, saving, investing, ownership, risk, time, and behavior. And if you don't understand those principles, more money can actually make your problems bigger. Give an undisciplined person more money, and you may simply give them more ways to be undisciplined. Give a disciplined person more money and you give them more opportunities to build. So don't focus only on making more. Focus on becoming the kind of person who can responsibly handle more. That's personal development. Your financial life eventually becomes a reflection of your habits, and habits don't lie. If you spend everything you make, your bank account will tell the truth. If you constantly borrow, your debt will tell the truth. If you invest consistently, your assets will eventually tell the truth. If you waste opportunities, your results will tell the truth. You can tell people whatever you want, but your financial habits know the truth. That's why the real goal isn't to convince people you're successful. The goal is to become successful, and those are two very different things. Now let's talk about envy. You don't need to assume everyone is jealous of you. That's not wisdom either. but you should understand that visible success can produce emotional reactions in other people. Sometimes your success reminds someone of what they haven't accomplished. Sometimes your progress makes another person uncomfortable. Sometimes your discipline exposes their excuses. And sometimes people will respond by minimizing what you've done. You're just lucky. You knew somebody? Anyone could do that? That's easy. Don't waste your energy arguing. You don't need to prove your journey. Keep going. You know what you sacrificed? You know what you learned. You know how many times you failed. You know how many nights you stayed awake thinking about the problem. You know what you had to change about yourself. And that's enough. You don't need everybody to understand. In fact, one of the signs of maturity is becoming comfortable with being misunderstood. Let people think what they want. Your job is to build a life you respect, not a life that everybody else understands. And when it comes to money, privacy protects your peace. Because the more people know, the more people can comment. The more they comment, the more you may feel pressured. And the more pressured you become, the easier it is to make financial decisions emotionally. That's why quiet confidence is so powerful. You don't need to say, "I'm successful." You can simply become responsible. You can become disciplined. You can become useful. You can become financially educated. You can become patient. You can become valuable. And eventually your results speak. Now I want you to remember something very important. Your money should serve your life, not become your identity. If your entire identity is built around money, then every financial setback becomes a personal crisis. If you lose an investment, you feel like you've lost yourself. If your income falls, your confidence collapses. If somebody earns more than you, you feel inferior. That's not financial freedom. That's financial dependence on an external scoreboard. Real wealth includes peace. It includes freedom of choice. It includes the ability to handle unexpected problems. It includes relationships that aren't based entirely on money. It includes health, time, knowledge, character, and purpose. Money is a tool. A powerful tool, yes, but still a tool. And a tool should help you build something meaningful. So don't spend your entire life making money just so you can tell people how much money you make. Make money so you can buy back time. Make money so you can provide for your family. Make money so you can invest in your future. Make money so you can create opportunities. Make money so you can give. Make money so you can build something useful. Make money so you can have choices. But don't make money your personality, and don't make explaining your money your hobby. There's another principle I want you to take seriously. Don't reveal every source of your income. Not everybody needs to know every stream. If you're building multiple businesses, you don't need to announce them all. If you're investing, you don't need to broadcast every position. If you're earning from a particular skill, you don't necessarily need to explain your entire process. And if someone asks, you can simply say, "I have a few things I'm working on." That's enough. You're allowed to have a private financial life. You're allowed to build quietly. You're allowed to protect your ideas until they're ready. You're allowed to change direction without explaining yourself to the world, and you're allowed to succeed without making an announcement. That's not arrogance, that's maturity. But remember, privacy should never become isolation. Keep good people around you. Build relationships, find mentors, learn from professionals, talk to people you trust, ask questions, be teachable. The lesson isn't trust nobody, the lesson is trust wisely. There are people who genuinely want to see you succeed. Keep those people close. There are people who will give you honest feedback. Listen to them. There are people who have experience you don't have. Learn from them. And there are people who simply want access to what you've built. Learn to recognize the difference. The older you get, the more you realize that your attention is one of your most valuable assets. Don't give it away cheaply. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your ideas are valuable. Your reputation is valuable. Your money is valuable. Protect them. And here's the final lesson. Let your financial life become boring. Boring is underrated. Pay your bills, avoid unnecessary debt, save consistently, invest according to a thoughtful plan, increase your skills, increase your earning power, keep learning, keep your expenses under control, protect yourself from catastrophic risk, build productive relationships and repeat. That's not exciting enough for social media, but it can be life-changing. Because wealth is often built through ordinary actions repeated for extraordinary lengths of time. The world wants you to believe that financial success is one big breakthrough. Sometimes it is, but more often it's hundreds of small decisions. The decision not to buy something you don't need. The decision to save instead of spend. The decision to learn instead of complain. The decision to invest instead of impress. The decision to work on your skills. The decision to walk away from a bad deal. The decision to say no. The decision to keep going. That's where financial strength is built. So don't tell everybody how you make your money. Tell the people who legitimately need to know. Learn from the people who can genuinely help. But everybody else, let them wonder. Let them see the results without seeing every step. Let them notice the fruit without knowing every detail of the root. Because sometimes the most powerful financial statement you can make is no statement at all. Just keep building, keep learning, keep improving. Keep becoming more valuable. Keep your expenses below your income. Put your money to work intelligently. Protect what you've built, and never confuse being seen with being successful. You don't need applause to build wealth. You need discipline. You don't need everybody to understand. You need clarity. You don't need to announce every move. You need patience. And you don't need to tell everybody how you make your money. Sometimes you just need to make it, manage it, multiply it responsibly, and let your results speak. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to look successful. The goal is to build a life that is genuinely successful. Quietly, patiently, wisely. And when the results finally become undeniable, you won't have to explain anything. Your life will explain it for you.